is Inge, coming to you from Inge's Knitting Lab. Welcome back to this series on how to make a European shoulder design, and in particular the design of mine called the tree trunk sweater that I'm wearing. In today's episode we will look at the male pattern though, and I will give you a design outline of how it is constructed, and we will look at how to do the measurements to pick the correct sizing or the correct size for you, and also look at the different pattern options you can choose from depending on your body size or the body size of your man that you are knitting for, if you're not knitting yourself. So let's continue. Let's start with the first key measurement, being the cross back measurement. And my husband has kindly helped to show you the measurement here on his body, but it would be the same measurement whether or not you're a male or a female. And this is a very key measurement to do the construction, right? And we measure from this bone sticking out here in the sides called acromion. So we measure from AC point to AC point. It is a bone joining the collarbone and the outer tip of the shoulder blade. So it should be possible to feel it, at least if you're slim like my husband. It's a bit harder on me, but it is there, I can assure you. Okay, so we measure from here to here, and in his case it is 44 centimeters. That's around 17 and 1/4, and that's actually between sizes. So it's between size small and size medium, and I could choose either way. But let's wait until we have measured the circumference, then we can decide on the size. So that's the measurement, and let me just show you here why this is a crucial measurement. Because in the European shoulder construction, also called the diagonal seam construction, you start knitting top down here in the back, and you do the increases for the diagonal shoulder, and you stop exactly in this sweater design at this point, at the acromion point, because then onwards you go straight down in a line in the male pattern, and in the female pattern you start defining the sleeve cap. So that's why it's an important point. You could see other European shoulder construction go further down, and then it will be kind of a drop shoulder design. But in this case, in my male pattern, it's kind of a set-in sleeve, and in the female pattern, it's a bell-sleeved design. Yes, that's it. Let's move on. The next measurement going top down is the chest circumference, and again it's the same thing being a male or female. So you measure here on the fullest point of the chest and get your circumference. Could you please raise your arm a bit? And in his case it is around, let's see, it is 93 centimeters, which is, I have the inches in the back, it is 36.5 inch. So that's fine. The male pattern, it's nice to know the hip circumference, because as you can see, the shape of my husband, he has an inverted triangle, and the design is made so that you do increases here, hip decreases, otherwise the sweater would look very big. And just in a minute I will show you an example on him. So you measure actually hips here on about the belt place here, and the sweater on the male sweater is intended to end about 5 centimeters below the belt. Here's the belt, so like here. That's the intention, but of course it's of your liking. Let me try to show you how this European shoulder design is constructed in a bit of a different way. I will draw down how we knit it in the sequence of knitting, and then I will cut it out and we will turn it into a sweater. So let's try. I have a small disclaimer here because I'm definitely not a sketch artist, but I will do my very best. So we start here at the cast on edge on the back. So we cast on stitches for the back. Then we start doing the increases for the European shoulder seam, and we do just as many increases as we need for the crossback measurement of the sweater. Then we start knitting straight down until we reach the point where we need to increase for the underarms. So we do underarm increases, and then we stop, because the next point here would be to cast on stitches for the underarm to connect with the front piece. So this is the back. Then we turn the knitting piece upside down, because now we start doing the front pieces. So we have this diagonal shoulder seam. It looks kind of like this with the edge tree trunk stripes here. So we pick up stitches along the edge here, and PU for pick up, and we knit for a straight piece until we need to do increases for the neckline, front neckline. So we do increases here, and then we do the same thing on the other side, and we do increases for the neckline. And now we have reached the point where we need to connect the two front shoulder pieces. So we do that by casting on stitches here. And then we continue working back and forth on the front piece, and we do it just like the back piece until we reach the point where we need to do the underarm increases. So we do underarm increases just like on the back piece, and now we stop. And then we have the front piece here. So let's write front here. Before I cut out the sweater, let's just see how it looks. So the sweater would fold here at the cast on edge of the sweater, so that we now have the front here with the neck hole, and we have the back here. And you can see that some of the front shoulder front pieces are now seen on the back, and the rest is on the front, and you see the neck hole here. And when I have cut this one out, you can see how this works. So let me just cut it out for you, and I will spare you for the crinkling, and let's meet up when it is cut out. And here's the front, here's the back, and you can see I have cast on stitches for the underarm here. So now the sweater would look like this from seen from the top. So the front shoulder pieces will go over your shoulder and define your shoulder width here and go down. And you can see here when doing this design, it's important that you make a good fit on the upper body. So your first choice is that it sits well with these measurements. You can always adjust the sweater circumference as needed. And that's what we do with these underarm cast-ons. So these tree trunk stripes here, either you can add or subtract one tree trunk stripe on your liking for the ease you want if you don't follow the pattern. But I would say most often you can follow this pattern, but adjust if needed. For the male, body type is most often an inverted triangle, meaning that men have larger shoulder width than hip width, so that when starting from under the underarm cast-ons, you start doing hip decreases. So the sweater will actually come to look like this. So yeah, maybe I could add, you have two options for the neck, and it is all about how you do the increases and the depth of the neck hole. So that's how you can do a crew neck or a deeper, wider neck to allow for the necktie, and the other one to allow for hiding the t-shirt, but more about that later on. So I hope you found this quite funny to show it in another way, how you do the knitting of the male version, and that's actually also with a few modifications the way you do the children's pattern. Let's move on. We have now measured my husband Bjarne, so let's have a look at the size chart to see which size to pick from. So I will show it to you here in centimeters, and I will also put in the one in inches for you to see. Okay, let's have a look at it. I have made circles around the different measurements that would fit his size. So let's start at the top. So his crossback measurement was 44 centimeters, and yeah, that was 17¼ of an inch, which was just between two sizes, size small and size medium. His chest circumference was 93 centimeters, which would give us 11 centimeters of ease in size small. And his hip circumference is 85 around his belt. So this would also give him 11 centimeters of ease, positive ease in size small. So all in all, I would opt for a size small sweater for my husband. But what about the crossback measurement then? We were 1/2 centimeter of measurement, or of measurement here, and it could also be measurement uncertainty, and furthermore the yarn stretches, so I wouldn't worry. I would just pick a size small, especially if I'm working with a dyed yarn of this brand, Viking Eco Highland Wool. If I use the undyed yarn of Viking, I could opt for size medium and follow the pattern all the way through. I could also, if I feel confident, I could choose two sizes. So I could go for size medium in the upper body, and once I meet the front and the back piece, when I cast on for the underarm, I could go change for a size small and skip some of the tree trunk stripes cast-ons under the arm to get a smaller circumference on the chest. So that is also an easy thing to do. So you can use this pattern and look at it from the top part and the body part, and easily use one size different between the top part and the body part. So now we know his size, so let's move on. Let's have a look at this poster here with the male body types and use this as a reference for our talk about which of these pattern options to apply. And a small disclaimer, because what I say here is only guidance. It's of course a matter of personal preference, what you like for your sweater or your man's sweater. So, but my take on this is that besides the two first male body types, the rectangular and the triangular, the other body types would benefit from having hip decreases. And that's because the typical male body has a larger circumference around the shoulders than on the hips, and that is why they would benefit from not being a straight body but a slight decrease towards the hips. And when we look at the other option to apply tummy darts, it will you don't have to decide up front. It's kind of like when you try on the sweater, you will see when you reach the fullest part of your tummy, if the sweater raises in the front, that is, it doesn't level front and back, it's longer in the back, then you may need these tummy darts, and you can follow the instruction to add some extra fabric for the tummy. Otherwise, just continue straight down until the hem. If you wonder, going back to the hip decreases or the tummy darts and how it connects with these body types, I would say that if you have an oval form, you have this tummy, it can equally be an inverted triangle as well, because you are still wider at the shoulder and smaller at the hips. You just have grown a bit of a tummy. So that's why you can equally use tummy darts as well as hip decreases in one sweater. And I've done that as well for one in our family. It's no problem, and you cannot see it when worn. Of course, when you take off the sweater and fold it to lie in the cupboard or wherever you put it, you can see that it's longer in the front, but not when worn, of course. That's the whole trick about it. Okay, and when you have the triangle sweater, you may look at the sizing. So maybe it would be an idea to pick a size smaller for the upper part than the lower part, but have a look at it. And I would say you can start knitting until you cast on for the underarm, and then you just cast on a bit more compared to the upper body if you have this triangular shape. So I guess this is how it works. And again, if you are sitting with this pattern, you have questions or you meet a roadblock or anything, please don't hesitate to call me, or you need to personalize it even more than in the pattern and figure out how to do two different sizes on a body. Just let me know and we will have a talk about it. So yeah, let's move on. Let me just show you what a difference it makes on a male body that you do the hip decreases. This is a straight down body, and look, try to raise your arms a bit. It looks very sloppy here. It fits in with the cross back and also the chest circumference. However, I did it straight down, so that's how it looks. Bjarne, please try also to turn a bit around so we can see. That's how it is without the hip decreases. Thank you. It is a twisted forest sweater with every other pre-trunk is a cable, but that's not the important thing in this demonstration. And you can also see here what I mean with the different necklines. So this one allows you to wear a necktie, however you can see your t-shirt. So let's try on the other sweater to see the difference. So here you see the different version. It's the same size on the shoulder and the chest. However, in this case, I have applied the hip decreases, the hip shaping for the male, and and it's no longer sloppy, and it doesn't look too small, does it? It just fits an inverted triangle better. So try and raise your arm so you can see here the hip decreases. And another difference of this sweater is the neckline, where you can see this neckline option hides the t-shirt and is a bit higher, a more crude neck. And the intended length of the sweater in this pattern is about 5 centimeters below the belt. So the belt line is here. If you get a very long sweater, I don't know if we can see it, but it makes your legs shorter and it drags you down here. It makes you, yeah, it's the golden rule of 3/3. Maybe you saw it in one of my other videos. Yeah, that's it. Let's move on. Thank you, Bjarne. We look at an actual sweater here where we do the cast on. Let me just move it so you see it in the knitting direction. We cast on the stitches here. We got the diagonal shoulder seam, and we did the underarm increases here, the stripes, and we stopped before casting on for the underarm. And now we finalized the first part of the back piece. We turn the knitwear upside down, and now we pick up stitches here at the shoulder seam, and then we knit onwards until we start until we start the increases for the neckline here, and then we do the other shoulder piece until we are ready to cast on and connect the front piece. And then we work the front piece just like the back piece with the underarm increases, and when we reach this point we start doing the underarm cast-ons, where I said you could vary how many of these tree trunk stripes you use, and then it's built in this pattern that you do the hip decreases down the body here, as you can see, until you reach the hem. So that's how the male body is done. Maybe I neglected to say how to do the sleeves, but now when you have both the front and the back piece, you start picking up stitches here under the arm, and then you go pick up stitches here and here. I have different pointers to aim for when picking up stitches, and then you do the sleeves and with the decreases just as usual, but going in a way that looks nice on the tree trunk stripes. So there you go, there's your sweater. We've reached the end of the episode now. I hope you liked it and found it useful, maybe also a bit fun and different. You never know. Anyway, this is all for now, and I hope I meet you in the next tutorial on how to do a European shoulder design, specifically this tree trunk sweater. So, Roger and over from Inge's Knitting Lab. Color me happy. Bye bye.